Hi everyone. Valentine's Day is coming up. Won't you join me in a nice cup of tea and a Valentine's cake bite? All right, I'm going to show you how to make them very, very easy. All right, I made some chocolate cake. Just use a box cake mix, or if you want to make it really easy, or if you want to do homemade, that's fine too. Homemade, of course, is always better than box, but this is supposed to be just a quick and easy recipe. You could also buy tubs of frosting, or you can make your own. And I just made a little bit of chocolate buttercream. So once the cake is cooled, you will want to crumble it in your hands. Get it nice and crumbled in your hands. If it wants to stay too chunky, I guess you could crumble it more in your food processor. And then we're going to add our frosting to that. Now, start out with just a little bit at a time, because you can always add more, but you can't take away. So basically, I'm just getting my fingers in there, and I'm just going to start mashing all this together. The goal is to mix just enough frosting in our cake crumbs until the cake crumbs will hold together. You don't want too much because you don't want it to be mushy, and you don't want too little where it's still grainy and will not hold a shape. So once you have mixed all this together, first check it in your hand and see if the shape is holding together. And that seems to be holding together just fine. I will not add more frosting. As a matter of fact, I probably could use just a little bit more cake. So you just work back and forth until you get the right consistency. Once that's done, I let it sit for about, maybe 10-15 minutes to make sure that the crumb has fully hydrated with the frosting. Okay, once it has fully hydrated, I then have my cake dough, if you will. It feels just like dough. And I'm just going to put it on a hard surface with some parchment paper over the top so it won't stick. You can roll this out if you want, but it's not necessary. You could just, I'm just using my hand to shape it about how thick I want it. And if you're good at molding or cutting out with a knife the shape of a heart, or to mold it with your fingers the shape of a heart, that's great. If not, you can use like a cookie cutter or a biscuit cutter. I'm just using this cutter. You pull the excess away. And then you can, of course, make another little mound so you can cut out more. Once you have your shape cut out, you put this in the freezer for a good 30 minutes. You want it to be cold and hard. That way it's easier to cover with the white chocolate. So for the sake of time, I have one that's frozen, and we're going to use that to decorate with. I have taken just some regular candy melts and melted them in the microwave. You have to be careful when you're melting them. You don't want to burn them. So you put them in a heat-safe bowl, stick it in the microwave, stir about every 10 to 20 seconds until almost all has been melted. There should be a few little chunks here and there. And once you take that out of the microwave, the heat of the bowl and the heat of the chocolate will continue to fully melt your candy melt. So that's how you keep it from burning. So I have melted this. It's ready to go. And I am going to dip my chocolate heart. I'm using a fork, by the way, because you can get a lot of the excess off of there. Just take it, and we're going to do our best to cover it with all the chocolate. If you want to use different colored candy melts, by all means do it. Use any type of flavor of cake you want as well. Okay, so we've dipped it. We're going to put it on our plate with the parchment paper. This is already dried. It was the previous one that I had dipped, but that's okay. If you want to sprinkle little things on it, do it before your candy melt sets. And it, it's still a little bit soft and shiny. Then your decorations will stick. Otherwise, feel free to wait till afterwards. Now, with this technique that I'm going to show you, you can melt some more candy melts, maybe in different colors, and use this technique. But I just happen to have some gold royal icing that I'd like to use up, so I'm going to use that. Starting off my cake, to the side of my cake, I'm going to start squeezing the line, bring it across. And this way you don't get a lot of wiggly, weird lines. And while this is wet, whether it be your candy melt or your royal icing, you are going to want to shake whatever you want on top of that. And it will adhere as it dries. And that's how you take this and turn it into this. Isn't that cute? A sweetheart bite for your sweetheart with a nice cup of tea.